You had a chance to take a breath since last week?
A little bit, yeah. We had Sunday as a day off from competition. I went out and watched the women's team play a little bit, and could get our work done at a slower pace. So that was nice, and now we're back at it.
Right. What's the weather forecast?
It looks pretty rough, but it was pretty rough last week too, and we were pretty fortunate to get not only the match in outside last week, but we practiced outside every day, which I never would have thought that was possible to begin the week. And we were outside Monday and Tuesday too this week, but yeah, today's not looking good.
Did you get a break with Cal upsetting Illinois?
I don't think so, because no, we earned a good seed. As the 2 seed, we would be lined up to play the 15 seed or someone out of that region, and so that was as good as it gets. But it doesn't get good when you're in the round 16. Everyone's really good, and it really didn't surprise me that Cal beat Illinois. They've been playing really well lately. They beat UCLA in their tournament, in their conference tournament. So no, we expect a real tough match with Cal.
We were talking with John about pressure hosting. What's the pressure like when you get to the round of 16, when you're going deeper and deeper in this tournament?
This is the first year that being in the round of 16 came with the possibility of hosting. This is the first year we're doing the Super Regional. In the past, it's always been the final 16 teams get to the final site. So that's a little different. The round of 16 has always been a huge milestone that every team strives for each year. And this year it was the same. But usually you're excited to get on a plane and move on to the final site. And this year, we're just traveling locally from our apartments to the tennis courts. But yeah, I think we're hoping especially if the weather cooperates, to have a huge crowd out there. We've had some really nice support at our home matches this year, and so that'll help us quite a bit. As far as the pressure, I don't think there's any increased pressure being at home. I think it's more of a benefit.
What's Cal's strength?
To me, it looks like their strength is the bottom of the lineup. They look really good at the bottom of the lineup. They have a guy playing number 6 this year that 2 years ago, when Yuya Ito was a freshman, he beat Yuya, and now he's playing number 6. So they look really good at number 6. Number 5 would be a repeat matchup. Now we have the lineups in advance, so we know that number 5 would be a repeat of the matchup that we had last year at number 5 between Colin Marcus and Jacob Brum. So we expect that to be another competitive match. And I think they're pretty deep throughout, but especially strong at the bottom of the lineup, I would say.
Who's the number 6 seed for them?
His name is Bjorn. His last name is Hoffman. I think his first name is Bjorn.
Okay.
Yeah, he looks real good.
Go ahead.
Colin Marcus, he's always been on our radar just because he's a Western kid and going into his senior year. What does he bring to the team? Why is he important to have in your lineup?
He's been a huge lift to the team this year. We actually were a man down to start the season. Adrian Ortiz was due to be a senior this year as a redshirt, but he had to have another surgery, so he was his senior year was cut short and didn't get to play in the spring. Colin Marcus has been a huge lift. I think his record's about 18-3 at number 5 this year, and that's a guy who's never been in the lineup consistently before in singles. He's been a doubles player and a spotty singles player, but he's worked his butt off in the summers, each of the last 2 summers, and had really strong summers competing at some of the lower level professional events as an amateur, of course, and now he's been one of our strongest spots, and I would say, arguably the most improved senior in the country. And he brings a lot. When you have a local guy like that who grows up with being a Texas fan, there's a different level of enthusiasm they bring to the court. And of course, you get some of his fans and friends and family at all of our matches, but he really relishes every moment he gets to compete on the court because he didn't really get too many of those his first 3 years.
Christian and Harrison lost their doubles match.
Yeah.
What kind of setback was that, and what was the worry level after that?
Not much, because I didn't think their level. I was not on that court, but I had a view of most of it. They actually got a really good start to their match, and I think the team they played quite well. That was another team that played really well from the baseline, and probably one of the few teams that they've played this year that doesn't play traditional doubles, that plays mostly from the baseline, and kind of could match what Christian and Harrison do so well. So they've played really good tennis lately. When you're playing number 1, you're going to lose a few. The format is conducive to unpredictability, because it's no ad scoring. It's just a set to 6, and it's a sprint, and the other team just played a little better than they did. But they're playing good tennis lately, so I'm not too worried about them.
How would you describe Christian as a player, being Player of the Year?
Yeah, he's really evolved, and he's coming into his own this year quite a bit. I think he came in as a freshman and tore it up in some individual tournaments in the fall, and that gave him, I think he felt some pressure from that heading into the dual match season. His freshman year, he actually didn't do that well. He was playing number 1 as a freshman, which is not easy to do. That's a lot to ask, and he lost a lot, and his confidence suffered a little bit. And then last year was a little bit of a repeat performance, but better. And I think what he's improved upon this year is just more of a consistent commitment to the game style that's going to allow him to play his best tennis, not only here in college, but professionally, because that's definitely an aspiration for him. And for him, he's a big guy with a lot of weapons. When he plays the way he's supposed to play, which is up in the court, taking time away from his opponents, aggressive tennis, powerful tennis, then he's pretty special. But when he doesn't, and he just sits back and rallies with the people he's playing, he's just a good player, an average number 1 player that's really nothing special. And we've had these conversations with him, and he's worked a lot on it, and he's committed to the game style that's going to give him the best chance of success regardless of outcome. And it's not a finished product yet, but he's definitely on the right path.
What was the key to that, finding his game and committing to it the whole match?
I wish I could say there was one turning point that did it for him, but it's just constant conversations. Yeah. We watch a lot of video, not only of himself, of his good moments and his bad moments when he's doing the right things and when he's not doing the right things, but we also watch some pro footage, and he meets with sports counselors, sports psychologists that help him. It's just an evolution over time. It's just kind of the normal process, but he's believing. We have some jokes. I talked to him about the difference between the chicken and the pig, and the commitment level, that the chicken's involved and the pig is committed. So when he's out there sometimes and he gets a little tight, I remind him to be the pig. And we have a couple little go-to things like that. But overall, he's getting it. And, of course, when you're rewarded by the positive result when you do the right thing, that makes it that much easier. And he's also had, there's a guy named Ryan Harrison, who I'm sure you guys know well, who's a very successful pro, who's passed through here on occasion since he lives in Austin and does some outside practicing with the guys. And when he hears it from Ryan, that's been a really positive influence as well. So just a bunch of different people communicating the same message, and mostly him learning from experience.
So he yell out, pig out or something?
Yeah, I don't yell it out. I thought people might think we're a little weird, but I'll walk over to him and I'll say, remind him, just be the pig out there, So I'll tell him that sometimes.
Bruce, when you mentioned how the community or the tennis community has really come out and support.
Yeah.
You've been in some big matches. You've had some significant match wins. Then there's been that little adversity piece, but when you put it all together, this is a legitimate national title contending team that could actually win it. When you put all that together and look back, and I know you're not ready to do that.
Yeah.
How do you sum that up, of how much growth and how mature this team, as a team, has handled all of this?
Yeah, they've handled it really well. I've talked about that before. I think I haven't had to do that much. Initially when we had the transition, we had a match that night. The guys got together, got through it. There were some emotions there, but they got through it, and they immediately. Next thing I know, we had our team meeting, and the locker room was shut, and they were chatting, and I got bits and pieces of what came out of that, but I didn't really need to hear much because I saw it in the way they approached their practice, in the way they supported me, the enthusiasm and positivity that they showed for each other. And then 2 days later, we were playing Ohio State, and that win really reinforced the commitment that they had made to each other. So the support from the community has meant a lot. I'm not sure if it was any different now because of what happened, but I think people love coming out and watching great tennis, and they like watching the student athletes enjoy and be passionate about that sport that they play, and our guys have done that this year, and hopefully we're going to get another good one on Saturday.
Who was the emotional ringleader when you overheard some of that?
I think we have a lot of leaders on this team. We have so many seniors. We have our lineup is composed of 4 seniors and 2 juniors right now. Chi Wang also plays some doubles, but a guy that hasn't been in the lineup very often, although he did play and clinch the doubles point for us against Tennessee Tech, is Johnny Goodwin. And so people may not know as much about Johnny as they do about some of the others, but he's, throughout his whole career, been a great example for the guys and an ambassador for the program and a leader. So I know he was the one who kind of filled me in a little bit. So there's no doubt in my mind that Johnny, spoke his mind too. And these guys have a chance to do something pretty special. They've already done a lot that's special. And, I think they're going to continue on and play hard and represent Texas well.
Anybody else that was real vocal on this team? If you could sit down, anybody that's...
I don't think I could pick out one guy. Everyone does it in their own way. I think Christian and Yuya are more by example. Those guys are juniors, and they're looked up to as being our best players at the moment. Harrison Scott's quiet, but he is he's very committed to the team, and he's very passionate. He's a guy that will pull individuals off to the side from time to time. I think Leo, Tellus, and Colin Marcus are the 2 guys we have out on the court that play with a ton of passion and emotion. They wear their hearts on their sleeves, and usually it's in a positive way. Not always, but usually. And I think those guys tend to be the emotional leaders on the court.